Imagine trying to lose weight and you feel like you're doing everything right, and by everything I mean you're working out, you're eating healthy, you're being consistent with it, and yet the scale isn't moving. This video is for you. Let's talk about what is actually preventing you from, dropping the fat. Now I know what you're thinking. It is not just food. In fact, it may actually be the last piece of the puzzle. Let me give you a little teaser with the chapters of this video. First, we'll talk about the hormones that are preventing you from losing fat. Yes, cortisol, but definitely not the only one. Second, we'll talk about emotional eating because sure, you're using food, but to cope with something else. Third, we'll talk about the lifestyle factors that may be preventing you from losing fat. And fourth, I will give you the one limiting belief that is preventing you from losing weight. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Flo. I'm a certified personal trainer and mindset coach, and my mission on here is basically to help you reach your dream body without making your life a nightmare. I've lost 35 pounds myself in under 6 months. All my clients are getting this type of transformation, so let me teach you how to do that too. Without further ado, let's get into the video. And I'm just back from my run. I think you can tell that I'm a little bit hyper here. Let's start with talking about what actually happens behind the scenes. So we're going to talk about hormones. Most people think that, weight loss is you have to eat less and you gotta move more. And it's only true to an extent. I'm obviously not gonna go against law of thermogenesis, right? But your body doesn't work like a math problem. As I said, your body is run by hormones or chemical messengers that basically respond to whatever is going on in your body or outside. So let's break down the 4 biggest hormones that are playing a big role on your fat loss journey and may actually be preventing you from getting results. Let's get cortisol out of the way because with the current trends, cortisol phase and all of that, I'm sure you've heard about it. And in fact, this is the hormone that encourages fat storage. Basically the stress hormone, right? But it doesn't mean that it's a bad one because cortisol spikes at the beginning of your day to wake you up so you're more alert, more focused, but it also gets produced and released when you experience stress, when you're overwhelmed, when you don't sleep, or when you're running on caffeine. So its job is to keep you alert and away from danger. But when you're stressed all the time, cortisol levels are high and that encourages fat storage, especially around the stomach, unfortunately. Basically because the body thinks that it's gonna need reserve in case something bad happens because it's just gonna feel in danger all the time. So what keeps cortisol high? You've got high stress, undersleeping, under-eating, and overtraining. And what helps balance it? Sleeping enough, that's gonna be a recurring one. Walking, journaling, deep breathing, taking real rest days, and eating enough food, yes, even if you're trying to lose weight. And overall doing stuff that reduces your stress, honestly. Moving on, we have insulin, which you may actually be already a little bit aware of because that also became a trend. As you know, your body needs energy and it gets that energy through food. So your meals are being broken down by your body, turned into glucose and then sent into the cells so you have energy to live your life. So glucose is energy, it's the fuel your body runs on. But obviously that sugar doesn't magically get from food to cells. It needs insulin to open the doors of the cells. So that means that every time you eat, especially carbs, especially sugar, insulin is gonna come out and help direct the glucose into the cells. It does that with protein a little bit and with fat, but mostly sugar. The thing is, if you're snacking constantly or if your meals are really high in carbs and not a lot of protein and not a lot of fat, your insulin is basically working overtime and working all of the time because you're just constantly sending sugar into the blood. And at some point, your cells stop responding, which is called insulin resistance. So basically, your body is making insulin, but your cells stop responding. Now, sugar stays in the blood for too long, which isn't good. Insulin keeps rising, and the extra sugar that doesn't get into the cells, it gets converted into fat and stored. Again, usually around the belly. Even if your calories seems reasonable, if it doesn't get into the cells, for energy, it's gonna get into the cells, other cells for storage. Here are some signs of insulin issues. You have sugar crashes, craving sugar often, and gaining fat easily, especially around your stomach. Now let's talk about what helps, obviously. You obviously do not need to cut carbs completely. I never said that. What I will say though is that you need to learn how to work with insulin instead of against it, because it's not bad, it does its job. But one of the best way is to eat balanced meals. So you wanna have protein, you wanna have fibers with veggies, you wanna have some healthy healthy fats, and that is going to help slow down the insulin spike and slow down how fast sugar gets into the blood. Also, I would recommend eating full meals less often rather than having smaller meals or snacks throughout the day. Eating 3 times per day, yes, you can have a snack in the middle, is actually better than eating more than that. And pro tip, I also really like giving 12 plus hours between my last meal of the day and then the first meal of the day. So I usually stop eating before 8 p.m. and I will have my breakfast at around 8:30 a.m. Now, I know that this isn't practical for everyone, but I just don't feel hungry when I wake up at 6:30. The idea that you want to have here is that the longer you can wait, the better, but this isn't intermittent fasting. I don't like that. I'm just saying, if you can have 12 hours, that would be great. If you can't, not the end of the world. Focus on the other tips I've given you. Another great tip is to actually walk after eating. Even just 10 minutes, it will help the muscles soak up better the sugar that you're sending. Again, getting good sleep, really important here. Now, I said don't cut all carbs, but I would reduce the high sugary drinks and processed food, like ultra processed foods, because this is going to create the biggest spike. Now let's talk about 2 sneaky hormones called ghrelin and leptin that are basically responsible for your appetite. You want to think of them as the on switch or off switch for hunger. So if they're out of balance, you may feel constantly hungry or just never fully full. First, let's talk about leptin, which is the I'm full hormone. Leptin is made in your fat cells and its job is to tell the brain, I'm good, I'm full, we can stop eating now. However, there's a little plot twist. If you have been overweight for a while and if you have been yo-yo dieting quite extremely for a while, your brain is going to stop listening to leptin, and that's called leptin resistance. So even though there is enough energy in your body and you have eaten enough, the brain is just not going to listen to the leptin saying, yeah, we're full now, we're good, you can stop. It's just going to keep on wanting to eat. So that means constant hunger, slower metabolism, cravings, and less motivation to move. So it's your body just trying to keep the fat in just because you're in a calorie deficit, thinking you're in danger. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. So it rises when your stomach is empty, just saying, hey, time for food, brain. Also happens to rise a little bit more often when you don't sleep well and when you're a little bit in too big of a calorie deficit. So if you've ever been in a very intense diet and you feel like you could eat every single item in your pantry, it's because ghrelin has been acting up and just telling the brain food now. And the wild thing is that ghrelin actually stays elevated even after a meal if you've been on a calorie deficit for a while, especially if you've been restrictive too hard for too long. Thank you. So again, what throws both of those hormones out of whack? Extreme dieting, especially for a long time, not sleeping enough. Again, highly processed food will mess up with your fullness cues. High stress, back to cortisol, and skipping meals. Or even eating unbalanced meals for that matter, because you need fiber, especially fiber and protein, to tell your body, we've had enough food, we're good. That's gonna fill your body up and your stomach up faster than just eating the processed food I was just talking about. Now, let's talk about how to help them chill and be a little bit more in balance. Again, we're not working against our body, we're working with it. We're helping it. First, again, prioritize sleep. If there is one thing you remember from this video is sleep enough, 7.5 hours minimum. If you can do 9 hours, you'll be my hero, but 7.5 hours, it is the best thing for you on your fat loss journey for anything you're working on. It is not being lazy to sleep enough. Also, on that same note, eat enough. Being in too big of a deficit isn't a good thing. It's never a good thing. It's going to create more problems than it resolves. You should never eat under your basic metabolic rate, which you can calculate on any calorie calculator online, but that is the bare minimum that your body needs at rest. If you don't do anything, never go below that, and honestly, I would never try to go too close to it anyways. Eating balanced meals, as I said, you want proteins, you want fibers, you want healthy fat, complex carbs, all of that in one meal so it satisfies everything and everyone in your body and you're free to go. Taking diet breaks, if you've been dieting for a long time, I actually don't recommend dieting for longer than 12 weeks, maybe 16, but that's already pushing it. And actually doing a proper reverse dieting phase. I explain everything in this training, by the way. If you want to watch it, feel free to. It will just get you through the whole thing. I'm not going to repeat myself here, but it will actually help your body find its balance back. Now let's talk about an additional problem when it comes to ghrelin, because you need to hear this. The issue is that when you lose weight, your body is going to produce more ghrelin to help you basically regain what you've lost, because it thinks that you're in famine mode and you don't have access to food. So it's like, oh my god, I need food because I'm losing weight. This is not good. Ghrelin is part of your body's survival mechanism. The more weight you lose, especially the fastest, get the hint, the more your body's gonna be like, oh my god, we need food. It's gonna try to restore what it's lost by making you feel hungrier. And that's why it kind of messes up with your brain as well. But it's not a you problem. You have to understand what's going on in your body. It's okay, you're fine if you haven't lost weight in an unhealthy, unsustainable way, obviously. And that's why I do believe in information and knowledge when it comes to fitness and fat loss, because when you understand what's going on and why you're doing what you're doing, it gets so much easier to actually get results. And understanding that it's not a problem of weak willpower, but literally your body trying to save you. Just because it doesn't have all the information, we were fine, but you know, that's happening still. Again, to prevent that, you don't want to stay in a severe calorie deficit for too long. Focus on high protein meals because it's going to keep you fuller for longer. Have fibers, healthy fat. Again, I'm repeating myself here. Get enough sleep because sleep deprivation will create a rise of ghrelin. Just saying. Ooh, washing machine is ready. Also makes your craving worse. I don't know if surely you've noticed. And actually exercise, because it helps moderately, obviously, but it helps reduce ghrelin as well. Now, before we move on to the last hormones that can really fuck up your fat loss journey, let's give honorable mention to PMS and premenopause and menopause and thyroid. These really aren't excused, but they're legit hormonal problems that really mess with everything from energy to cravings to fat loss. So let's talk about PMS or premenstrual syndrome. You're not making this up. 1 week, 2 weeks prior to your period, you may be experiencing higher cravings, less energy, you're more hungry, mood swing, lower motivation, as well as water retention and bloating. That's because hormones like progesterone rise and estrogen drops. So you're not broken, it's your body doing its thing, you just have to learn what's going on, understand what's going on, and learn to ride the waves. Now, menopause is an entirely different beast because estrogen really plummets. So that increased belly fat storage, that messes with your insulin sensitivity, you're hungrier, it slows your metabolism down, especially if you've not been building muscle prior to it. You have sleep issues, you're a little bit of a mess. So that's why it may be difficult to lose weight. Not impossible, this client did it, and if you're premenopausal, it actually would be better to, start early, because this client did it too, and she said this was one of the best decisions she made because she did it right before menopause, right before it gets really difficult. But that doesn't mean impossible. She did it. 3 kids, 1 job, 3 cats. And let's talk about thyroid or hypothyroidism. Thyroidism? I'm sorry. So your thyroid controls your metabolism, right? AKA how much energy and calories your body spends throughout the day with the exercise, the movement, and everything you do. But if your thyroid is underactive, you may feel a little bit sluggish, cold easily, depressed, kind of foggy as well. And obviously, no matter what you do, the scale won't budge. And the problem is that it gets missed very often. You can't really outwork a thyroid imbalance. You really need to get checked and then get the proper medication, I guess, for that, and the proper process to get back to a healthier, more balanced thyroid function. So on this one, it's not about pushing harder, it's really about getting the support you need. Now, this video is getting so long. Let's move on to the last one, which again, it has been trending recently, so you probably have heard it, but maybe not in the fitness context. I think I made a video about it recently though. Let's talk about dopamine. So this one isn't really a hormone that tells your body what to do, like insulin or cortisol. It's actually more of a reward system in the brain. It's a chemical that gets released when you feel good, you feel excited. For example, when you eat chocolate, when you scroll on TikTok, when you get a like on your post, when you're watching Netflix. So that high satisfaction feeling is dopamine. Now let's talk about why it matters for fat loss. And to understand that, we have to understand what rises dopamine the fastest. And we have eating sugary food, salty snack, takeouts, and basically quick hits of pleasure like junk food and comfort and Netflix and scrolling. Big companies, food companies, literally have researchers trying to find the best possible satisfaction level for their food. For example, fries, you want them slightly crunchy on the outside and then really smooth is not the word I'm looking for, but on the inside, all of that, and the perfect level of salty versus sweet. It's crazy, but they do that because it knows that it triggers something in the brain that will just make you addicted to it because it releases dopamine. It's like, oh, it's perfect. Every time you reward stress or boredom, all of that with food, you are wiring your brain to expect food when you feel those feelings. So it's basically a shortcut that gets created in your brain, especially the more, you do that. So stress equals chocolate, sadness equals ice cream, boredom equals cookies. And it just is going to become automatic. The moment you feel those feelings, you're gonna start craving this specific food. It really becomes a habit. So I talked about how to rewire your brain when it comes to dopamine in the video I've just mentioned before, right? But let's give you some pointers here. First, you actually want to create non-food reward. For example, go for a walk, calling a friend, or having a coffee, having a good book, or listening to music. You also want to delay before acting. Again, I talked about this in a previous video. Basically, the more you train your brain to wait, the better you're gonna get at waiting when you have a specific craving or specific urge. I think I talked about it when it was about binge eating, so I highly suggest this video. But if you do wait, you're just gonna get better at waiting. Another thing is make real meals satisfying. I'm becoming a pro at cooking, which I used to be so bad at, but I'm getting better and I love it. And basically, you want to make the real food you're eating and healthy food really satisfying. And if this isn't, I have all of these recipes for my clients, by the way. If this doesn't look satisfying, I had a chocolate brownie this morning for breakfast. So amazing. So satisfying, 30 grams of protein. And the last thing is to celebrate small wins. You want to, have some reward, outside reward for your input and for some results as well. I highly suggest rewarding the input, so how many workouts you do or staying in the deficit for a specific amount of time, more than the output, because you have full control over what you do versus the results. But both are great. Dopamine loves achievement, so it's gonna love it if you do that. And it actually rises in anticipation of the reward, so that's great to have that plan, to plan stuff like okay, so I'm gonna have this specific reward if I train for this amount of time, like 2 weeks for example. Your brain is gonna release dopamine just in anticipation of this, and I do that. Works amazing. Section 2 finally is emotional eating. As I said, it's not about food, there's something behind it, and this hits home for me, first of all, but also for so many of my clients. That is a very real problem in our society right now, is to use food to cope. I've slightly hinted at that when I was talking about dopamine, but let's get a little bit more into that and just try to figure out what to do, well, what's going on, and what to do to rewire that so you don't go for food and you can stay in deficit and lose the weight. The first thing you have to understand is that it is never a lack of willpower. It is always to cope with something else. So it helps you manage feelings like anxiety, boredom, loneliness, anger, all of those. When you feel overwhelmed, when life feels tough, it's almost logic to go for food for quick comfort. And that will give you that quick hit of dopamine like I just talked about. So it makes sense, but it's not good because we have goals. So let's talk about the most common emotional triggers because they don't come out of nowhere, right? First, we have boredom. When you have nothing to do, what's the next best thing? Making food or eating. Then we have stress. When you're stressed, you do go reach out for food and you want that comfort food, whatever that may be for you. Loneliness, because when you are by yourself, you feel disconnected, and it's sort of a way to reconnect with your body as well, because you obviously feel stuff when you eat. So there is this one too. And the last one, burnout. When you're going non-stop, you drain yourself mentally, you drain yourself physically, and if your body is struggling to get energy, it's going to try to get it via other means, mostly food. So it's never about the calories, it's never about the self-control, it's about dopamine again and how your body is going to send us towards what makes us feel better in the moment. So really talking about the emotional needs here over whatever goals you may be working towards. As I said in the title of the video, it's not always about food, and it rarely is. So what we're gonna do is we are going to, every single time we feel the urge to eat or we feel hungry, ask ourselves, am I really hungry right now, or am I feeling something and trying to cope with it? Am I being bored? Am I being stressed out? Am I being, tired? Am I feeling lonely? Remember that it is okay to have that as your immediate thought after, or immediate reaction after feeling those, or as soon as you feel those feelings. But what we want to do is gently, direct yourself towards a healthier coping mechanism. For example, if you feel lonely, call a friend, call a parent. Your mom is supposed to pick up every single time. Before you reaching for a snack because you're bored, why not trying to do something else? Picking up a book, for example, going for a walk. By identifying the emotional trigger behind the need to eat, you actually start to dissociate or separate yourself from that need and seeing it as what it is, which is a way to cope with an emotion. Some will work better than others, so there is this discovery process, if you will, of trying to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work so well. For example, when I'm bored, I'll just do my nails, and as you can tell, I haven't been bored in a while. I've been very busy, so I haven't done my nails in a while. But that's one thing. When I feel bored, I feel hungry, so I found the thing I like doing best is just playing a podcast or YouTube video that's long enough and doing my nails. Now, if you want to be a bit more proactive, instead of waiting for the feeling of hunger and craving something specific to come, you can actually journal every single time you eat, and how you feel before, how you feel during, how you feel after, and you will very quickly start, identifying patterns, identifying triggers, so you can be proactive about them and knowing, for example, this is the time, like for example, it used to be me, Friday night, I don't go out, this sucks, I'm gonna feel so lonely and want to eat. So this is the time that I would have to proactively plan something that makes me feel good. Even if it's not going out, it could literally just be, oh, I'm gonna catch up with a friend and just call them and, be on the phone for a while. Now, I know some of you are gonna think this is a hassle to have to do that, but think about maybe 3-6 months of actually journaling. It doesn't even have to be that long. You'll notice patterns within like the first couple weeks. So this time frame of having to journal everything you eat and how you feel versus, because it was ruining my life, I assume it is for you too. So versus a lifetime of freedom after, because you know yourself, you know what you need and how to cope with your emotions better. Over time, this trick will really help you build awareness so you can be proactive and do things before the problem comes, so it doesn't come anymore. And that, my friend, is how you break the cycle of emotional eating. One thing I haven't mentioned yet when it comes to that is you have to be in the right mindset. So I think I've briefly mentioned don't feel guilty, but you want to reframe how you view food as well. And if you want me to make a video about like healing your relationship with food, I'm not sure yet I'm the best person to talk about it because this is still happening, but I'm getting better right now. And you want to see food as fuel instead of literally anything else. Like, you want to see it as this is going to nourish my body. For example, when you eat chicken, like, oh, this protein are going to fuel my muscle or help me build my muscle or maintain it so it can be lean and toned, and these carbs are going to give me energy, and this healthy fat is great for my hormones, and this chocolate, because you're allowed chocolate by the way, is going to help with me with dopamine and endorphins, and it's going to help me feel good. It's about being very intentional with the food you eat and realizing that food is fuel and it helps you feel your best. It's never about extreme dieting or extreme restricting. It's about knowing what you want, trying to get to your goals and still allowing for flexibility and realizing that food is here to support you. It's not against you. Now, I want to talk about another great trick that I found out is I used to eat very quickly, and that's because I used to be a waitress and you had to eat very quickly before your shift or in the middle of your shift. So I kind of kept this habit for a while, and slowing the fuck down is an amazing tip because you'll realize that you eat very quickly and you'll have more time to chew your food, and it takes some time for the hormones leptin to tell your brain we're full, it's okay, stop eating. So it might be a good idea to try to slow down, put your fork down when you eat. I really don't recommend drinking while you're eating because that's kind of messing up your fullness cues as well, and it also messes up your digestion. Don't drink water when you eat. Honestly, it's not helpful. As always, be kind to yourself. It's a journey. Sometimes you will feel like emotionally eat and you'll do it, and that's okay. I mean, if you were one of my clients and you said you did that but you tracked everything and you were within your deficit or slightly higher, and the next day you managed to make up somehow because it's a weekly thing and not daily, I would be saying it's okay. Let's talk about the triggers and we'll walk you through how to cope better. You want to keep going, keep learning, and progress is never linear. Section 3, lifestyle factors that may be, preventing you from losing weight. The first one, I haven't been subtle about this because I am so passionate about it. Sleep deprivation is one of the biggest factor that will prevent you from losing fat. There was this study, I need to find it for this video. There was this study, they had two groups of people. They were on the same calorie deficit, same exercise plan, but one of them was sleeping 5 or 6 hours per night and the other one at least 7 hours. The group that was sleeping 5 hours saw a 55% less fat loss compared to the group that was sleeping enough. When you don't sleep enough, surely you know that you don't feel like working out, you have a lot of cravings, your hormone ghrelin is actually higher because you didn't get the energy through sleep, so your body is gonna try to get it somewhere else, mostly food, and it's not the healthy food. Obviously it's gonna be the high in sugar, high in carbs food and highly processed, so it's just gonna be this vicious cycle. Sleep enough. As I said, 7.5 hours to 9 hours, let's say 7 to 9 would be ideal. And a great tip for that is actually having a consistent sleep routine when you go to bed at the same time and you wake up at the same time. Yes, even on the weekends, you can allow for an extra hour, but honestly, if you allow for enough time from the time you go to bed to the time you wake up, you won't really feel the need to make up for the lack of sleep during the weekend, so you would be fine. But realize that one bad night isn't going to completely ruin your progress or prevent you from, you know, actually getting to your goals or prevent you from sticking to the plan that day. You just have, again, to be aware and understand the why and the how and all of that, the mechanism, to figure out that, okay, I might feel a little bit hungrier today and maybe allow for more food or switch the workouts around so that day isn't as big of a workout. For example, like I would never go for a run on a day that I haven't slept 8 hours. Lack of consistency can actually really prevent you from finding that good sleep schedule for yourself as well. So don't change every single week or every 2 weeks. Try to stick to something. Consistency across all boards, by the way, even in terms of workouts, in terms of diet and all that, but I think we'll talk about that in a second anyways, but while I'm at it, might as well say it again. Speaking of consistency, actually, this is my next tip. Your body needs time to adapt. Now, of course, when you start a calorie deficit, you start working out, you might see quick loss on the scale because less food in the body, therefore less carbs, less salt retention, so less water, and you might lose quickly. Like I've been losing fairly quickly so far, and I'm aware that this is not gonna last, unfortunately. But the thing is, if you keep changing your workouts, if you keep changing your diet, it's not going to work. Technically, every single diet on earth will help you lose weight if it makes you in a calorie deficit. But the problem is you don't see results if you're not consistent enough with it. And then there is this entire discussion that why weren't you consistent enough? And it might be because it was too extreme and so on, instead of just being in a calorie deficit, 80-20, all of that. But that's the point. If you keep changing, you know, the process and the plans and the structure, your body never has time to adapt, empty the fat cells so you can drop fat. You're gonna plateau and even gain weight, and it's just not gonna be fun. The problem is that quick fixes and drastic diet never lead to sustainable change. Your body needs time to adjust, and as I said, extreme deficit and overtraining is gonna disrupt your hormones and it's gonna retain the fat. So you might want to take the slower-ish approach and do it the right way. So pick a plan for the next 4, 6, 12 weeks. Recommend the one that's down below. You may not see immediate results. Give it some time. Allow it to take its time, and then you will see results, I promise. I only promise for my plan, by the way. The others, I don't know. Moving on, all or nothing mentality. This is keeping you stuck because that means that you start, you try to be great, and you realize quickly that it's difficult to go from nothing to great, right? So you fail, quit, instead of trying to just be good for a long time. We've all been there. We start our fitness journey, our fat loss journey with the best intentions in the world, and we try to do it 100%. You try to do everything, get everything done to a high intensity, only to burn out in under 2 weeks, honestly. Or maybe not even that. Maybe you fall off track because life happens inevitably. Maybe you get sick, you get your period, so you can't work out as well, and you have cravings. Maybe you are invited somewhere, you eat out, and then you quit. And that's why perfectionism keeps you stuck. When you think that one bad day means starting over, you're almost bound to fail, I'm sorry. Or I've already eaten one cookie, might as well eat the entire pack. Or I've skipped my workout today, might as well just skip the entire week. No. That's when you stay in that cycle of starting over and stopping and starting and stopping, and you just never get anything done. Quick tip, give yourself the permission to be imperfect. You are going to fuck up anyways. You are going to fail, you are going to trip, to miss a workout, to miss a day. It is okay. Honestly, it happens to 100% of the people who at least saw results. You are going to mess up, and the moment you realize, okay, I'm going to fuck up, but it's fine, it makes the journey so much easier because you're prepared for that. And one bad meal, one missed workout isn't going to ruin your progress anyways. I'm sure you know that, you've heard that. It's not a myth. Like it's a cliche almost for a reason. So focus on the long term and see the big picture. And the last chapter of this section is focusing on sustainability in order to be consistent. And the way I see it is you want to be good and, you know, have the habits that are the easiest for you and will give you the biggest impact for a long period of time over being great and trying to overdo it and eventually burning out. That's why I always say, don't be in too big of a deficit. Don't go from zero workout to working out every single day, because you are not used to that and that's going to be too much, and you want to slowly build up. Start with what will have the biggest impact. Calorie deficit, you may want to start 15%. Honestly, this is reasonable. This will get you results. You want to start with maybe 2-3 workouts per week and then build up to more if you want. As you see result, you're inevitably going to start falling in love with the process anyways. You're going to get better. Focusing on small, consistent actions will get you way further than trying to get everything done for maybe a week max. And when you make it sustainable, progress happens naturally. Section 4, mindset and identity. Here is the truth. If you identify yourself as someone who can't lose weight and who always struggles with food, that's exactly who you are going to be, and you won't see results. Like, you're going to be right because your brain will prove you right. Your actions will follow that belief. Your identity shapes everything. How you think, how you feel, how you act, therefore the results you get in your life. Because if you don't believe that you're someone who shows up, do you really think that you are going to show up? Let's talk about identity-based habits. This concept is huge and I don't really talk about it enough, but it will be the difference between someone who loses weight maybe temporarily and someone who completely transformed their mind, completely transformed their physique long term. It's just because the latter becomes the kind of person who prioritizes their health. You always make the choices that align with your identity, whether that's skipping a workout, giving in to emotional eating, or doing that workout even if you're tired and following the plan, even if your emotions are saying, I really don't feel like doing it. So let's talk about how you can change that, because obviously that's what you want. When you shift your identity, especially when it comes to fitness and fat loss, you don't see this as a 30, 60, 90-day program, but a lifestyle change. You see this as I want to be someone who goes to the gym regularly, who runs, who eats healthy most of the time. It all becomes an identity, a part of you. And then you just start becoming that person who actually makes smart, healthy choices by default. It will be easy. And it's crazy how quickly that works as well when you start shifting your identity. I used to be someone who would think, I cannot end my meal without a dessert. And then I decided, hold on, no, I don't do that. I don't eat that much sugar, especially not natural. So, because I love fruits, and if you see my stories, you know that I love sweet stuff, but I still don't eat dessert. Like, I haven't had dessert after lunch today and I feel fine. It also starts with shifting the words you're using, because if you say, no, I don't do that, I'm not someone who does that, then it becomes true. Instead of saying I can't have sugar, oh no, I'm not someone who eats sugar. Thank you. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat processed sugar, for example. So back to that identity thing, if you identify as someone who prioritizes their health and their fat loss goals, you're just going to have the habits by default, because every single day, all day long, you're going to be thinking about how would a healthy person who prioritizes their health goals and their fat loss goals would behave. And then it's going to direct every actions that you do, because it just becomes a part of who you are. So the first step really is to reframe the goals to an extent. Like, you can have weight loss goals, like I have a number in mind, but I also reframe from I need to lose weight to I'm the type of person who is disciplined enough to stick to a workout plan, to stick to a calorie deficit, who prioritize her health and her fitness and her body and physique goals. It's all about who you want to become rather than the expected result, because it will just become a byproduct. Like, I love the lifestyle I have. Woke up this morning, ate like half a banana because I was not hungry, and then I went straight for a run and I had the best time. And I just genuinely enjoy it. It wasn't like, oh, I need to run to burn calories and be in a deficit. No, it was like, I love running. I'm a person who runs. I'm a runner. It's fun. Let's run. And then by default, I will be in a calorie deficit today because I'm also someone who is disciplined and I can stick to a calorie deficit. And I have the tips when I'm hungry that I'll make a video if you're interested. And that's how I'm gonna get the results I want. So far, I've been getting amazing results. Over time, these small shifts in how you think, and you have to catch yourself. Like, at first, I would say like, oh, I can't eat dessert. I would reframe that. I would catch myself and reframe it. And the more you do that, the more it's going to rewire your brain, and you are going to adapt and adopt the identity of someone who doesn't eat sugar, for example. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. You need consistent, small actions in order to build that identity, but you will. Every time you choose a healthy meal, for example, and every time you work out, you are going to prove to yourself that you are the type of person that actually does the thing they say they want to do, and you are actually the healthy person, the fit girl, the however you want to call yourself. That's why you have to be very intentional when you do it and actually remind yourself, I'm a runner, that's why I'm going for a run. For example, you're going to build that identity and make it stronger and just connect it to yourself more. The key is just to make these actions feel natural, and at first maybe it won't be, but the more you do it and the more you repeat yourself, I'm someone who doesn't eat sugar, I don't eat sugar, I'm a runner, it's just going to actually become true. So reinforce that identity. Yes, even affirmations can work, and that's why I do tell myself I'm someone who can, like, I've literally just given you affirmations, like I've literally been, I'm someone who's disciplined, I'm a runner, like I'm literally saying it out loud on camera. You don't have to do that, obviously, but you can repeat it to yourself when you're making the decision as you're doing it. Like, I'm a runner, I'm getting ready for my run because I'm a runner, you know? The more you intentionally adopt that, the more you speak it into existence, literally, because you will believe it, and then you'll have the proof to back yourself up, and then it just becomes you. If weight loss feels impossible, it might not be related to food. Your hormones, your emotions, your sleep, and your self-talk / identity also play a massive role. And that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching. It was a long video. I hope you took notes. And yeah, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.